let's cut the small talk. Game Pass in 2025 had so many first-class games, some major titles got lost in the shuffle for many gamers, myself included. We've whittled down the surplus to a fraction of must-play and must-look games. As always, let us know how you'll be spending your month on Game Pass and which of these games you'd recommend. The history of Marvel Comics is so varied, much like its domination of Hollywood, there was once a time when the House of Ideas appeared in the blockbuster games of its era, arcade games. No offense to home consoles, but Marvel Cosmic Invasion is clearly a throwback to those pixel and base days of flickering cabinets. And for you 616 purists, the cast is ripped right from the pages. Beta Ray Bill, Silver Surfer, She-Hulk, and Cosmic Ghost Rider might not matter all that much to the MCU, but comics fans know there's enough here for more strategic play, but if you've got 3 friends and just want to mash buttons to pleasing graphics, this is it. Who releases a horror game in December? Lunar Software, that's who. Personally speaking, I've always found the darkest calendar cycle to be the best time for moody, grim, and isolating games. Routine takes all the creepy atmosphere of an abandoned exploration video on YouTube, except you're the one wandering around an empty base on the moon. If you're looking for that lonely 3 a.m. vibe, Routine delivers that for the most part, but the developers were nice enough to pepper in some creatures whose basic purpose and visibility is beyond human understanding. The less you know about Routine, the better, so hit install and tell us what you think. The Life is Strange series has been around for an unbelievable 11 years. Unbelievable because it still feels so fresh. But Lost Records, Bloom and Rage puts all that in perspective with developer Don't Nod switching to a brand new unrelated series. With plenty of tweaks and takes that certainly feel from that creative mindset, but with a design and structure informed from their years of brainstorming. Getting into the hard details would require more spoilers than necessary, but if you're up for a story about identity and how that changes over different chapters and relationships of our lives, Lost Records will give you a considered take on nostalgia's purpose. As much as it might pain video editors, we are firmly in the era of the second screen experience. Heck, you might be listening to this while you're playing a game. But you know what? That requires a very specific type of game to successfully balance whatever podcast, movie, or sports event you might have on in the background. A game about digging a hole seems custom made for this type of play, giving players a simple, albeit ridiculous task of digging and digging and digging a hole. Until you know you might find something rather odd. This game goes places. Mostly down. Personally speaking, I've never had the time or money to really grasp the nuances of card-based games, which is exactly why games like Monster Train and Slay the Spire have been such a revelation. Well, Monster Train 2 returns with its inventive combination of deck-based strategy and roguelike gameplay. No build-up, no required understanding of lore, you are hopping right into some complex battle scenarios that require weighing of elements, and hey, if you fail out, no biggie. It's a great way to test your gray matter and your luck one go at a time. Death Hollow just landed in December and already the fan reviews are swirling. The influences are obvious. We're looking at grid-based combat ripped right from Into the Breach, but with the extra wrinkle of Monster Train-style progression systems. That's right, this is a roguelike deck builder with some isometric strategy, not to mention some pretty dang cool pixel art with gothic otherworldly flourish. If you feel like you've played everything and just need something different, Death Hollow will constantly deliver familiar experiences in entirely new ways, keeping your mind sharp and on its feet. Wait, does that metaphor make sense? Alright, let's take it back to our earlier discussion about just how insane was Game Pass in 2025. Well, I think we got our answer during this year's Game Awards, cause case in point, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 won, everything? Yeah, I think it won everything. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's a meme at this point that Sandfall Interactive's RPG walked away with all the trophies while dropping a nice new update. Recently, I spoke with someone who called it intimidating because of how much praise it's received. And I can get that, but a lot of its acclaim is because Claire Obscure gets right into its emotional story and reactive gameplay. If you've been putting it off, it's time to hit play. Talk about a feel-good story, a little-known indie called Hollow Knight Silksong won Best Action Adventure Game at the Game Awards. Okay, all snarkiness aside, Silksong has been a long time coming. Arguably the most anticipated game of the entire year, and we really didn't even know if we were gonna get it. Silksong's Shadow dropped this past September and immediately locked the attention of the entire game industry. But between all that time, people forgot to ask themselves if it was any good, and the answer is a definitive yes. That is, if you're willing to commit to its complex combat platforming. It's a game that hurts so good. You may have missed it in all the announcements, but Doom: The Dark Ages also won at the Game Awards for accessibility. Unlike the previous games in the franchise, a lot of the gameplay centers on the Doomslayer's new shield. This flips the gameplay from a marathon of glory kills and animations and into something more akin to a rhythm game. But id Software went the extra mile and introduced multiple tweaks for players who require more specific cues to make the gameplay legible. Heck, some players prefer these options, proving once again that accessibility in video games benefits everyone. Let's be honest, one of the best parts of Game Pass is playing games you otherwise wouldn't buy. South of Midnight is a prime candidate, landing in some oddly middling reviews at launch. But this really comes from two schools of thought. The third-person action gameplay is accomplished, but only just, while the real focus is on the artistic design and narrative. But since release, more players have come to its defense, especially as its unique lore intertwines with the American Deep South. Approach the gameplay as something more of a method of connecting the sequences rather than the main attraction, and you'll see why this one gains for impact at the Game Awards. Resident Evil Requiem is creeping up on us, but part of the mystery is trying to understand what games will connect to the overall story. Well, one thing the trailers have made very, very clear is that Resident Evil 2 fans will be revisiting the remains of Raccoon City. Well, the good people at Capcom have made it even easier to review the greater narrative with the Resident Evil 2 remake. This maintains the signature split scenario of Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield encountering shared but completely different monstrosities from the Umbrella Corporation. And for some extra nostalgia, this month marks the anniversary of the remake and the PS1 original. I know it's extremely not cool to say, but honestly, I like Black Ops 7. It's a kinda basic, kinda safe sort of year, nothing too outright exciting, but what can I say? I like Team Deathmatch. Black Ops 7 connects all the way back to Black Ops 2 with all the wall running and future tech combined with the sliding and diving of Black Ops 6. The co-op campaign is pretty bonkers with weird monsters, and the zombie mode is back to the more open world design. And of course, that classic Twitch shooter gameplay. I'd say it's worth a download. In the best case scenario, space is an extremely scary and lethal environment to human beings. The training, the rocket science, it's all a lot of work. But thankfully, we have video games to play in the fantasy of a safe bit of fun in outer orbit. Young Sons is a cute combination of the ever-popular cozy game genre mixed with the social elements of multiplayer and an inventive vision of outer space that's full of light and color, which again is not how real space is. Collect, build, and explore together or alone with your very own character. Okay, Mortal Kombat 1 is admittedly a pretty confusing name for a game whose predecessor was titled Mortal Kombat 11. Heck, it reads like a prequel, a backstory, a throwback to times past. But truthfully, it's anything but. See, the Mortal Kombat universe has experienced reboots before, and those reality-altering events are directly the result of in-story canon. So what the heck is Mortal Kombat 1? It's the 12th mainline Mortal Kombat, a reboot, and the roles of gods and warriors have completely shifted. If that sounds like bonkers storytelling well above most fighting games, well, that's the Mortal Kombat way. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 dropped on Game Pass as a day one game and received good critical and fan reviews. And yet, everything has been so busy this year, this complete recreation of the latter classic Tony Hawk games got overlooked. Tony Hawk 4 has seen a total revision to the single player, inventing new timer-based challenges. Meanwhile, Tony Hawk 3 might contain the best selection of parts in any Tony Hawk game ever. When was the last time you took your skateboard to the luggage terminal at the airport? Because it's just as fun as you remember. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Why not tell us what you played on Game Pass and what you'd recommend? Keep clicking around here at GameRant.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody.